Not getting sales and not sure where to turn? Well, 9 times out of 10, it's your designs. Sorry. They might be no good, but don't worry. By the end of this workshop, you will have a system to improve your designs and to iterate and create better concepts. Now, I do workshops like this in our Design Hub community, but more than that, I go into immense deep detail for each aspect of design. My goal is for you to make bestsellers intentionally, not stumble across a bestseller by luck, chance, or mistake. I actually want you to be making bestseller after bestseller. And if you want to access this workboard, click the link down below to get this and all the other workboards that I've created in my YouTube videos. There are so many there. For now, let's get into this design overview workshop. We're going to break this workshop down into 4 digestible design steps: traits of a good design, where to find designs, creating designs, and tools that I use and recommend that help me intentionally, it's a hard word to say, make best-selling designs. Now, before getting started with part 1, let's have a quick refresher into the value of print on demand, and specifically t-shirts. This is the rise of print on demand. It's no joke. We're here in 2025 at the moment. The room to grow is huge, and you're far from too late. A compound annual growth rate of 24.4% is really good. And the best part, t-shirts remain the most scalable product due to low cost and broad appeal. They account for over 60% of the revenue. But if we bring this back to design, because obviously this is a design workshop, you have to remember what the customer is buying. They're not just buying a t-shirt. What's the end goal for them? They are buying that feeling that they get when they put it on. They are buying the reaction that they get from their friends and their family. And they are buying that sense of connection to the brand that you've made. A great design nails all of those 3 things. So here goes. Step 1, traits of a good design. Now, in order to understand the traits of a good design, you need to have the design hierarchy in your mind whenever you conduct design research. Placement, phrase, graphic, font, and color. That is the design hierarchy. Write it down, print it out, get it tattooed on your arm, whatever it is. Just remember it. Placement is the key element, bringing everything together. If placement doesn't work, if placement is wrong, it doesn't matter what the phrase is. It doesn't matter what graphics you use. Honestly, nothing else matters. Really, nothing else matters anymore because placement is the foundations of a design. Think of it like a house, right? A beautiful house. A house with Calcutta marble everywhere. A beautiful staircase, and it's just a stunning house. Floor-to-ceiling windows. It's a masterpiece, right? It sounds good. What if I told you that the foundations were made of foam? It wouldn't really stay standing, would it? Right? Now, I probably didn't have to give you such a clear analogy there, but that's the truth, and people just forget about that. So don't worry if you're worried about placement. You're not alone. Placement is one of the hardest parts about design. Even to this day, I'm seeing great websites with great designs, but the placements are just sometimes a little bit off. And this is something that grows stronger with continuous training, feedback, and researching, so don't worry. Phrase is the next one on the list. Now, this is the most important element of a design, and I know what you're thinking. Placement encompasses the entire design. Phrase is the single element of a design. And so placement is the important part of the whole design, but the phrase is a single important element. And if done badly, no one will buy. Literally no one. Phrases have to be thoroughly thought about. They must be intentional. Making up a phrase in the shower and assuming it's going to go viral is a recipe for disaster and disappointment. Phrases have to mean something. They have to connect. They have to connect with the buyer. And how will that make them feel? Will it make them laugh? Does it spark nostalgia? Is it self-deprecating humor? Or is it just niche-specific phrase that will make them feel in the know? It's got to do something. It's got to spark something. Now, I often see people's judgment clouded when it comes to phrase. And I used to be like this too. I would come up with a phrase and I would think, oh, this phrase is the bomb. It's amazing. But that was probably because I was biased and I had come up with it. And sometimes people make the same mistake, or they ask their spouse, or they ask a close friend. And most of the time, that person will just tell you it's good, either because they have a similar sense of humor to you, which is probably why you're related to them, or because they're just being nice, because who wants to be mean and crush your dreams? But sometimes you need that critical feedback. At the end of the day, data is key, and what we like doesn't really matter. It can help, and sometimes it can work, but if you just keep basing your designs on random thoughts you think will work, you're setting yourself up for a rude awakening. Graphics come in next in the pecking order of importance. Sometimes designs with good phrases don't even need a graphic at all, and sometimes a graphic doesn't need a phrase, and that's completely okay. Of our current 15 best-selling designs, 2 are text only, 1 is graphic only, and the remainder are both text and graphic combined. And this is why I focus so heavily on this specific hierarchy, because most print-on-demand sales I see come from a design that incorporates both text and graphic. The graphic is highly important as well. Even if it comes under phrase, it still needs to match the tone, it needs to speak to the audience. You need to visualize who will buy your design and if the graphic is appropriate. Not too childish, not too old, or too AI, or too colorful. There's a lot to think about, really. But this will all come naturally after some practice. So don't start panicking, thinking, I can't do this business, there's too much going on. It will come with practice. Now, after graphic comes font and color. Now, I put these two together as they're equally as important, but I must stress, all aspects of a design are important. So don't think, I have the perfect placement, the perfect phrase, the perfect graphic. Now I can slap 4 different fonts and 8 different colors into this design and it's going to do amazing. You will most likely kill an almost perfect design. So you've got to be really careful here. Continue to think carefully when choosing a font. It must go with the graphic. It must go with the feel of the design. It must go with the audience. And if you are attempting to use more than one font, they must, of course, go together as well. A top tip for you, just stick to one font, especially at the beginning. I know that might sound boring and you might be like, no, I want to spice up my designs and all of this. Just stick to one. And then color, another top tip, stick to one color to make your life a billion times easier. The billion, that's a lot easier. I know it sounds boring, and I'm not telling you to do this for all your designs, but at the beginning, when you're getting to grips with everything, it makes your life so much easier. Introducing multiple colors is another skill that you will learn over time through trial and error. Going for subtle pastel colors tend to work best on designs that incorporate color. But again, like I said at the beginning, just keep it easy. Most of our best-selling designs that have color tend to go with a version of the classic vintage sunset style that you've seen millions of times. That's not to say they are specifically the vintage sunset look with the round sunset, but they are a kind of version of that, if that makes sense. They're loosely based on that vintage sunset. The designs that are just stuffed with colors for the sake of it are much harder to pull off. Here's 2 more top tips for adding colors to your design. 1, don't add neon bright colors, whether it's yellows, greens, reds, purples. Try to avoid bright neon colors. Don't ask why, it just looks terrible. It should never be on a t-shirt. 2, avoid gradients. They don't print well, and most of the time they add too much realism to a design and too much color to a design. I just don't do gradients. So let's take a look at some examples, both good and bad. And whilst evaluating them, we'll consider all aspects of the design hierarchy. The first one, I'm getting out of here. There's quite a lot wrong with this one. Before I say it, feel free to pause the video, write them down, and see how many you would have guessed. Now, with this, there's a problem with the graphic. It's screaming made by AI, which is something we never want. Using AI, by the way, is absolutely fine, but it needs to look subtle. The phrase as well, this doesn't apply to anyone. It looks like there's a doctor here that wants to get out of here, but it lacks any real meaning. The number of colors, and finally, the most pivotal part, the placement. This placement is totally out of whack. This font is tiny. The graphic is huge. It's all off balance, and I have absolutely no idea what to focus on, what to look at, and I can barely see the main element, which should be the phrase. This next one, center of Mama's universe. Firstly, a huge number of bright, almost neon-like colors, the gradients, the phrase, the weight of specific words are just overbearing. The word mama seems to be like a pretty important one, like a pretty important word, yet it's the same size as the word of. It doesn't really make sense if you think about the weight of words and the importance of those words. The next one, rolling fatties. This is quite niche, as you'd probably be a cat owner if you were to buy this. Well, you'd definitely be a cat owner, but also someone that understands the slang meaning for rolling fatties, which often refers to rolling large joints. Not that I've done it or understood the meaning, I'm just telling you what it is. The unexpected twist makes this, like an unusual but good joke for the right audience. The design on its own is absolutely excellent. The placement is perfect. The graphic, the font, the colors, it's all great. This design would pretty much pass all the checks. It speaks to the audience. The fonts go with the graphic. The graphic is great. The font's readable. Everything can be seen. It's just very, very good. And for someone that understands it, it's instantly recognizable. This one, I like cats and coffee. This is typically how color is used in print-on-demand designs. This is a variation, like I was talking about, of the retro sunset. I spoke about this earlier, as you remember. The phrase is good, the placement is perfect, the graphic matches the mood and the audience, and all the other elements of the design. The only thing I'd change here is the white text and make it the color of the cat, or something like that, because it kind of seems unnecessary to add like another whole color of white here. And by making the text color the same as an element of the design, it will kind of like bring it together nicely. Now let's move on to part 2 of this workshop, where to actually find designs. This used to be so much harder when I first started print on demand. Most of the tools that you're so used to today, they simply didn't exist. And I'm not even talking about AI. I'm talking about general graphic asset tools that are so useful today, like Creative Fabrica that only started in 2016, which is 2 years after I started print on demand, or Kittle that everyone seems to really like, was launched in 2022, 8 years after I started print on demand. So when I say we have it so much easier now, I really mean it, and I'm not even counting AI. So when it comes to finding designs, we need to be thinking about growing our research mood board at the same time. Because whilst we're researching designs, we'll be taking screenshots for reference and filling our design mood board, or you can call it a design database if you want. It doesn't really matter. We do research on Google, Etsy, and Amazon, and competition websites. All of these websites lead to a rock solid mood board that we've built. And it's something that we're also constantly updating over time. As we do our research every single week, we add more screenshots to our mood board every single week. Now, when doing research, I look at a few factors. The first and most important is the design good? And by that, I mean, is it following everything we've just spoken about in the earlier part of this workshop, right? The next thing I'll look at is, depending on the platform I'm conducting the research on, are there reviews? Reviews typically mean sales. So if a design has reviews, well, it has sales. You could also, by the way, use a tool to speed up this process like Allura, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. I like doing this manually rather than relying on tools, as you just learn so much more when doing it manually and, being in the thick of it. You don't have to spend too long on this process either, by the way. The more you do it, the faster you'll get at finding potential winners and actually adding them to your mood board or database. Again, it doesn't really matter what you want to call it. Part 3 of this workshop is creation. Now, this is the fun bit. I love this bit. For most people, it's the reason they do this business model. It certainly is for me. I love designing. And in case you hadn't realized, I'm a designer, right? When it comes to creating designs, there's so many ways. Now, I'm not about to say one is better than the other. Many work. I use Affinity Designer as our tool of choice for putting a design together. Why do I use Affinity Designer, you might be asking? Well, it's just a one-time payment. There's no ongoing fees. It's quick to pick up and it's incredibly powerful. Think Illustrator without the price tag or the overly complex UI. But that's just me. If you tell me you want to use Photoshop or Kittle, that's fine. Some tools will have limitations, so there's always that to consider. I know a lot of people use Canva and it's full of limitations, so just be wary of that. Now, I also use AI. It took me a long time to get over the hurdle of using AI. I was so against it, but I've come to learn how powerful it can be. And now I'm literally using AI every single day as a way to save an immense amount of time. I no longer need to draw everything from scratch on my iPad or on Affinity. And what would take me an hour to make a graphic and a design, well, it can now take me 2 minutes. It's been a real game changer, I'm telling you. It's been a real game changer in our business, and I would recommend learning how to use it. So, like I said, knowing how to use AI is the hard part, and I will make another workshop video on AI like this one, but there is also a workshop video already. Well, not a workshop, but there's 2 very, very in-depth AI-specific courses in our design community, the Design Hub. So if you don't want to wait, you want to check out those courses and really speed up your design process and make really good best-selling designs, well, that's where you can do it, in the design community. I also sometimes use Creative Fabrica for graphics, but very rarely, just very rarely. And now I mainly use them for fonts. I also use Etsy to buy ready-made designs, although they usually need some tweaking, of course. But there are tools as well like Vexels, Creative Market, Kittle, and Canva, where you can find graphics and build designs. I used to use them, but not so much anymore. And when it comes to actually creating designs, I follow the 7-3 rule, meaning 7 designs out of 10 are iterations based on my research, and 3 are totally unique, totally made up designs and phrases. Maybe I've thought of them in the shower. Maybe I've thought of them when I'm lying in bed. I don't know about you, but when I'm lying in bed, I think of so many ideas. So it's important to note when I say iterate, by the way, just going back for a second, I don't mean steal. Pixel for pixel copying is not okay. It's happened to us too many times, and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone else. It's just not right. When it comes to iterating, I'll look at my mood board and usually head over to ChatGPT to create something new based on that particular style. That's how I like to do it. But again, there is no right or wrong way of doing this. I will also use the Phrase Genie, which is an AI chatbot that we built, which is trained on thousands of best-selling designs. And this helps us come up with phrases that actually tick all the boxes rather than just made-up phrases we think of in the shower, right? They are like the phrases in the Phrase Genie are actually kind of like, they're intentional phrases, they're research phrases. So my process for original concepts looks like this: find phrases and winners, or use the Phrase Genie, then find or create graphics myself or in AI, and then piece it all together in Affinity. My process for iterating would be slightly different. It would be find proven winners, which right now we pretty much just use our own winners as we have quite a lot of them and we're able to iterate on those. And then I would put it into ChatGPT and tailor a specific prompt to get a good result. And most importantly, I would get it to iterate on the design traits of the winning design. And then finally, I'll fix areas up if I need to in Affinity Designer too. Now, those 2 processes allow me to create huge amounts of designs, with almost all of them getting sales and a very high percentage actually turning into bestsellers. Part 4 of this workshop are the tools and the resources that I use to make this all easier. And I make all of these resources available in Design Hub. Okay, so you can check those out whenever you want. The first is the design templates. Remember how important I said placements were? Well, to make my life easier, and of course to make everyone else's life easier, I just created a resource with proven templates. It's really impossible to get this wrong now, because templates are the most important thing, and I wanted to try and take all the thinking out for you. Here you have it. You've got all these placement templates. I also created an infographic on fonts I use. I was seeing so many bad fonts or fonts that just didn't match the audience or the design. So I went through all of my sales And I curated a list of fonts that I use most, and I link to all of them. They're all from Creative Fabrica as well. So one very, very, very cheap subscription, a yearly subscription to Creative Fabrica, I think it's like $47, would get you all of these fonts. Other tools that I use are Affinity Designer, ChatGPT, My Designs, and Creative Fabrica. There's probably something I'm forgetting, and if I am, I'm sorry. And if I think of it, I'll let you know. But these are the main ones that I use every single day where I do my design sessions, which is why they're on the top of my mind right now. And if you want to skip all the noise and streamline this whole process I've just showed you in this video, definitely check out the Design Hub. It's my design community where I show you how to create best-selling designs quickly and effortlessly. And of course, I give you personalized, I say of course, but it's quite a big deal. I give you personalized feedback amongst other things to ensure the outcome for you is best-selling design. So join today, and tomorrow start creating, or even today, start creating best-selling designs.